What up, nerds? Let's talk about this coronavirus vaccine that has hit the market. But first, how you doing? How's your mental health doing during this coronavirus time? It's tough out there. You know what's real tough? The new Cyberpunk game. Yeah, I got it. And I feel dumb because I bought a PS4 and I clearly have a PS5, and the reviews are just so bad and it's just getting worse and worse. And now I'm happy that I didn't open it because now I can get my money back, but I just want to play it so bad. Why did they do this to us? So anyways, so you've decided to get vaccinated. What does that mean? What's going to happen? What's the actual scientific mechanism behind getting this vaccine? Well, I can share a little bit with you about what I know being in mRNA and being a scientist in mRNA, and I can kind of show you a glimpse of what we are trying to do as a team, as a scientific body, how we're trying to attack this. But also Pfizer has not published their actual technology yet because it's probably not patented yet and there's a lot of competition out there. So I've looked, and a lot of this technology is not new, and it's not new to me. So I'll just go ahead and share with you how it works. So you go in and you sit down and you get a needle in your arm, and it's going to be in your muscle. And the reason why you get it injected into a muscle is because it's a slower immune response as opposed to if you did it intravenously. You want a slower immune response because you want those antibodies to constantly be created. You want that immune response to last for as long as possible. And if you do it intravenously and you look at a graph, you'll see that your immune activity spikes and then goes down, as opposed to if you do it in a muscle and it's slower, you'll get a slow increase and a small decrease. So in 21 days after your first injection of the coronavirus vaccine, you're on the downside of that curve, and then you'll go spike back up with another dosage. So you'll be creating antibodies for a while, hopefully for over a month, you'll be creating these antibodies. So what happens after that? Well, I actually have an illustration here from I think it's the New York Times, and it will clearly show you what I'm saying because one, I'm a terrible artist, and two, a lot of these terms can be really confusing. So we have our piece of genetic information, our mRNA. Well, how do we get it into your cell? Well, we use what's called a lipid nanoparticle, lipid meaning fat, and what it does is it allows for your cell to open up and allow for the mRNA to enter. So if you remember from biology, which if you don't, no judgment, your cell is surrounded by a lipid bilayer of fat, and it has a lot of receptors on the outside that allow for things to come in and exit the cell all the time. Here we have the mRNA and the lipid bilayer fusing to the cell, and eventually this will open up and allow for your mRNA to enter. Once it enters the cell, it is then read by your ribosome. Your cell opens up, it allows for the mRNA to enter, then what? So then what happens is your body and your cell knows exactly what to do with mRNA. mRNA has been around for a long time. Your body is saturated with mRNA. As you were watching this, there's mRNA all over the place. So your cells know exactly what to do with this piece of information. So what it's going to do is it's going to take it to the ribosome, and it's going to start translating this piece of genetic information letter by letter. And as it reads it, this protein comes out of the top of the ribosome. And what this protein is it's actually the spike protein that's on the outside of the coronavirus. So if you've seen those scary pictures of this virus with these red spikes popping out, that's what it codes for. It codes for the spike protein. So then what happens after that is the spike protein just going to be expressed on the outside of your cell, and your cell's going to look like the coronavirus and have all these spikes sticking out. To my understanding, no, you will not. There are proteases on the inside of your cell, which is just an enzyme that chews things up. And it's going to chew this spike protein into smaller peptides, much, much smaller peptides that you are then going to express on the outside of your cell. And if you are in biochemistry or if you're in the industry and you've read this data, you're probably thinking like, this is taking up valuable space on the surface of your cell. Does this inhibit any other good things that could attach to the surface of your cell? Is it a huge enough protein to prevent things that need to bind from actually binding to your cell? And it's actually a pretty interesting answer, and I'll tell you why. The lipid nanoparticle itself is made from a liver cell. So again, to my understanding, not every cell is going to be able to uptake this mRNA, meaning not every cell is going to open up and allow for this mRNA to enter. Only liver cells are very specific to the lipid nanoparticle and allow for it to bind. Only certain cells are going to be able to take this vaccine. So not every single one of your cells is going to be saturated with this mRNA. Not only that, but these liver cells that call for the peptide on the surface of the protein, it actually gives your immune cells a glimpse of the virus so that it can start building a response to this foreign body. Because I don't know if you remember, but this is a novel virus, meaning that it's never been seen before. And usually immunity towards these things, it takes time. It takes a lot of time for your bodies to adapt and to create enough immunity for you to fight it off on your own. But since it's not, and it's new, and it's killing people really, really fast, we have to help your immune system out. It's actually similar to other vaccines where they inject a little bit of the weakened virus into your body because it still elicits an immune response. The only difference between conventional vaccines and an mRNA vaccine is that mRNA vaccines don't have any of the virus in it, as opposed to like other vaccines that do have little pieces of the virus or weakened versions of the virus. This is actually just the piece of genetic code that is inserted into your cell. There's no part of the virus in the vaccine at all. Not only that, but your cells are constantly regenerating themselves. So the cells that express the peptide on the outside that elicit a immune response will also be degraded by the same immune response that it calls for. So when your body recognizes this foreign body and it starts making defenses with your memory cells and your helper T cells, they're going to remember that this virus was in your body, and the next time you're exposed to it, it's going to know what to do and it's going to release antibodies right away. So we've determined that not every cell will receive the mRNA, and we've also determined that the cells that do have the mRNA in it that express the small portions of the spike protein on the outside, these will actually be degraded by the antibodies that they call for. So if you're thinking like, well, what is going to stop my cells from attacking themselves once the antibodies are created? The answer is nothing. That's the point. The point is to get the hardware in there, hijack it, get the antibodies started, and then degrade that puppy. Get it out of there. But that also means that you will not be immune forever. The antibodies only last for a certain amount of time, and there's a lot of unknowns that come with this vaccine, and that is one of them. We do not know how long the antibodies will last. We do not know how long immunity lasts. And it's also really confusing to think that people have gotten coronavirus twice. So do the antibodies even work at all? And like the answer is yes. And then there have been publications that show that antibodies can last for up to 6 months. So will I need a booster in 6 months? We honestly don't know yet. This is more of like a band-aid to fix the virus. This is not a cure. This is just a way to put a hand over the bleeding before the surgeon can come and do work. And the surgeon is the actual cure. We do not have a cure. This is just something to stand in the meantime, since we're in a pandemic and this is killing people every second. So this technology was not made to give immunity. This was meant to help the pandemic so that we are no longer in a pandemic. It's important to note that this is new technology and that we only want to improve it from here. So the data that's coming in is going to be very, very important. And we're going to be looking at this data like a hawk. And obviously, if something is wrong, we'll fix it. But if you look at the phase trial results that were published by the New England Journal of Medicine, the results were fantastic. And as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, it said that this is a triumph. And it is a triumph because we can get out of a pandemic state. We can get out of being in our homes and forcing us to stay away from each other all the time. This will allow for us to get back to normal, just like the flu. Like, we can get back to normal with the flu. Is it gone? Is it eradicated? No, there's no cure. There's only treatments. If you get the flu, there's no cure. There's only treatments available. And that's the thing with a lot of these illnesses, is that a lot of them don't have cures. We really just have treatments. And that's really the goal here. If we happen to come upon a cure, fantastic. But that's not really the goal right now. The goal is just to have something there to protect people, to keep people from spreading it to each other, and eliciting an immune response and allowing for people to have antibodies against a virus that our bodies have never seen before. It will help the spread go down significantly to a number similar to the flu, where we can just manage the people that are getting sick right now. So don't let it hinder you from getting the vaccine. The fact that this is only a temporary solution, having access to this technology allows for your cells to recognize this virus if you come in contact with somebody that got sick. So even if the antibodies don't last for very long, let's say you get exposed, your cells have seen it before, so they can create antibodies at any given moment. That's kind of the point. Well, anyways, back to your cells. So the cells that have the vaccine, they're degraded, right? So all you're really left with are your memory B cells and your helper T cells that memorize that they saw this virus, so that the next time you're exposed, it's able to be like, hey, I know you, I've seen you before, and this is how I deal with it. I also wanted to address some things that I've seen online that I've heard and seen people ask about whether or not this is a good option for them. One of them being kids. Should my kids get it? I saw in the phase trial that it was done on people 16 and up, and I have a 5-year-old. Is this vaccine okay for my 5-year-old? And in my opinion, I don't think that there is anything that hinders your child from benefiting from this vaccine. They only can benefit from this vaccine. So this is your own personal decision on whether or not you want to get your child vaccinated. But just know that this is only a temporary solution in the meantime until we find an actual cure. And even though it wasn't done on kids, they still have the same cells that we do. They still have the same immune responses that we do. And so I think that when you look at the data and you compare numbers, that you'll see only positives in the direction of getting a vaccine. But again, this is up to you. Another question I've seen is, I already got the coronavirus, can I get the vaccine? And the answer is yes, you can get the vaccine, because if you have antibodies from getting exposed before, it's just gonna help, so you absolutely can have the vaccine if you have already had the coronavirus. So that is basically the gist of it. And it's so much more complicated, when you get into it. There's a lot of crap. So this is really just a summary of it all. And, people that are out there that know this technology that want to correct me or that disagree, please, I would love to learn. And like I said, this is the best to my understanding being in the industry. And this is how lipid nanoparticles work. This is how mRNA vaccines work. And, if you look on Moderna's site, this is not fast and brand new technology. This was always meant to be a thing. mRNA vaccines were always meant to be a thing, and scientists have been trying to create this technology for a long time now, and Moderna's been in phase 2 trials for a few of their treatments for a while now. So if people think that this was developed fast or if this is new, it was probably developed fast, but is not new. So it is new in the sense that it was approved. That's brand new. So the data from this point forward will only improve over time. And we are very interested in the data that's to come. We're not closed-minded about things that could go wrong, about long-term side effects. Like, these are all super important. Like, we're just in a pandemic right now, and this is working right now, and published results say that it works. And so is it perfect? No. But it's just like radiation. Is radiation perfect? No. But is it better than leaning up against a tree and just waiting for cancer to take over? Yeah, it's way better than that. So again, if a cure comes up, great. If it's only an improvement and only a treatment, which is what we currently have for a lot of diseases that we have right now, great. But take this information as an opinion, as thoughts of somebody that is in mRNA development, as somebody that has an inside look in this technology. And I've been doing this job for a few years now, so this isn't new to me either. I do this every day. So, without revealing too much, I guess, a component of the vaccine is going to be made where I work. And so we have very much been involved in developing this vaccine, and not just with the companies that are being looked at by the FDA right now, but by companies across the world. I've worked with people in almost every continent, not every country, but almost every continent. And it truly is a worldwide effort. All worldwide governments really are coming together. It's phenomenal. I wish that this was fast with cancer and Alzheimer's and other illnesses that don't have cures yet, but that's what gives us all hope and a purpose in this world of science, is that there's still questions unanswered, and the answers are out there. We just got to find them, and I chose this path of science to find that, to find what is already out there, like the answers that are already out there. And it'll just be a matter of time. Other like-minded people who have the same passion as I do, we all network together across the world, and we know what works and what doesn't work, and so far this works, which is great. So I hope you guys stay safe out there and enjoy this holiday with your families. One last big holiday with your family 24/7. I know that you guys love that. So, it's time to get back to normal though, is the thing. So I hope that everybody takes initiative here, and obviously the more people, the better. So yeah, with that said, everybody have a Merry Christmas, and that's it from me.